Well, hello. Uh, Welcome to On the Nose again. Thanks for joining me. It's been a couple of weeks. How's it going? Uh, you're either doing really, yeah, there we go.
I oh, look, low network bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the internet dropping as soon as, we actually started.
So I thought you were I
That's
was
great.
like you were making a face and I was like, are you doing that on purpose to make it
No.
look like that?
I wish.
Damn, I'm good. I called it. I was
Uh,
like, as soon as we start recording, the internet's gonna stop working.
I know. As you can see, the bed is in the room again.
hmm
Uh,
why don't you tell the listeners why you finally gave in and brought it in from the garage?
well, yeah, let's start from the beginning. It was in here originally. We moved it out there because we wanted privacy, since this room, all the sound bounces throughout the entire house, and it's also the main walkway goes right by our door. So we moved it out to the garage for privacy. The garage was cold, it's not very well insulated, and it has all bug problems. So we consistently get potato bugs, crickets, spiders, obviously, and earwigs just coming in, doing whatever they wanted. And I spent like a lot of hours weather stripping and putting caulk, and I even replaced the old single pane windows with double pane windows, and it helped. So it went from being like multiple bugs every day to like one bug every day. And it's still too much, because over the course of I think we were only in there for like 6 months. uh my wife got an earwig in her ear, in her hair. um we I mean, just seeing a potato bug at all is awful. um Cricket in my shoe. And the one that most recently, which was literally like the day before we like, oh, we're just gonna move the bed back inside, was I went to go drink some water out of one of my wife's tumblers before going to sleep. And instead of getting a nice shot of water in my mouth, I got a earthy shot of earwig in my mouth.
It's
I
just, I just,
It was definitely alive. I immediately spit it out. And I felt like for the next day, it's like I could just taste it and feel it in my throat.
I
Um,
I was having sympathy sensations after you told me. I just spent the whole like next 24 hours just feeling traumatized.
yeah. Uh, so the next day, or even I think that night, Isol and me were just like, well, we tried. It's not working. We can handle either one or the other. It's either bugs and cold, or my cat waking me up at 6 a.m. because he wants to go outside. There's kind of one of the, I can't handle all of it. It's like I'm not getting any sleep. I'm constantly in fear of bug, and it's real fear, because it's like there really will just be an earwig in my drink or something, or in
Yeah,
my ear.
that's just
Uh,
it's so so I ugh, I I have a thing about spiders because the room that I lived in when I was a kid had a lot of bugs, like slugs and bugs, and I don't know, there was stuff like jumping around on the carpet. No idea what if it was fleas or what it was. Um, but I multiple times woke up with spiders in my hair, and it just like get up and like, I go to the toilet, stay on the toilet, and then my hair is like moving on its own while I'm sitting on the toilet. And I'm just like, oh, and then it's like I have curly hair. So how do you even get a spider out of that? Like without squishing it? It's a whole
yeah.
thing.
Then you have squished spider in here.
Yep.
Yeah. I kept waking up with spider bites too. And it's
So
like, I'm
rude.
like, why? When, where, why? Like, why is, or worse yet, or the just multitude of flea bites. And then I'd always get paranoid that bed bugs because they're all these little blood spots from the fleas biting me. And it's like
Yeah.
I treat them and it helps, but then all the
They
fleas
just
that
come
end up
in from
dying.
outside and yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just saw a lot of little things. It was just I couldn't, couldn't get good sleep. Um, when I did sleep, it's like I would still wake up multiple times in the night, either because it was cold or because cat,
Yeah.
usually cat. I love my cats, but I like having a bedroom where I can choose to not have the cat in the bedroom.
Yeah. I'm very glad that Amos has come to accept that nighttime is quiet time. So he still moves around a lot at night and he hangs out in the window, but he doesn't yowl all night anymore, which is what he did for the first what, like 2 years.
Yeah,
That was hard.
yeah. Today, Gremlin was outside, and Gremlin likes to pick fights with the other outside cats. He just walks up to them and does this little puff up, and then will just sit and stare at them. And then if they try and leave, he chases them. He doesn't like hit them. He just chases them and until they leave his
Yeah.
domain. But I picked him up because he was being an asshole. He
He
can't
got you.
exactly see, but he ripped into me like
Oh
really bad.
wow. That
Like
looks
they're like
gnarly.
it was thick, deep, and it was deep enough that it was actually like bleeding actively. Um, he's such a little bastard.
He is a monster. He scares me. Every
He,
time he looks like he's gonna jump on my shoulder, I'm like, no, 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 you're too
yeah,
big for that.
he is scary. I
He's
it's
so intense. Like,
yeah. He's the equivalent of having like a big cat in your house, like literally like a tiger or something. Like if he was a tiger, I'd be dead already.
yeah.
I've only
It's funny.
survived because he's small.
It's funny that Bubba's the one that bit me though.
I know. Hey, I I it's just stressed. I don't know.
I I like those antibiotics were so gnarly. I'm like, I do not ever want to be bit by an animal again. The bite was not that bad, but the antibiotics were just like I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, it literally makes no sense because
Yeah,
he's the most amicable, lazy one.
he's just hungry.
Yeah. He's just a fat fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't take his food away from him.
It's like I guess that's why Brago's on Prozac is because I took his food away from him.
I'm starving. I'm
Now he
gonna
just
die.
I put the grass down, he's been eating it, and he's like a fucking lawnmower. It's perfectly like short now. Grass has no chance.
I mean, at least he eats it like that and doesn't just rip it up. That's what
Yeah, it's
Gremlin does.
Amos rips it up too.
Like
And
I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah.
It can't grow back now.
I cut a little bit and put on top of his food and Amos will eat it, but when he has access to it, he just pulls out pieces. It's not it's like Oski would eat it, but he'd also make sweet, sweet love to it and like, you know, and
Yeah,
lick it and he loved it.
yeah, yeah.
So funny. Yeah, it's like I think it's sort of like a security blanket for Brago. Like normally he goes for the cardboard boxes that we keep around for him, but now he just goes straight to the grass, like constantly.
Just
And there's
munch.
fresh grass growing in the bathroom. And so he goes into the bathroom, stares at the grass up in that window, way the fuck up there, and then looks at me and meows and then looks back. He's telling me exactly what he wants. And I'm like, you can't, you will
Give me
eat
the
it
grass.
all. In 12 hours, it will be gone. You are a goat. You have to wait. You're not the popular goat. You're an actual goat.
Yeah. When I first started letting the cats outside, it was like every day they would immediately go outside, eat as much grass as they could, kind of walk next to the entrance and then throw up.
Yeah.
They've finally gotten used to having grass access, but it was just like every day there'd just be this little pile of like green vomit.
Yeah, I had to clean that up today. And then his first poop was like stuck.
Oh,
So I'm hoping he gets used to it because he used to be good with it, but I think he's just not had regular access. So he's like so excited.
yeah. My one of my friend's cats, my friend who has the two rag dolls, her newer rag doll, who I think he's only like one at this point. He's been having a whole bunch of health issues. Like he just they had to take him to the vet because he had like big crystals in his bladder,
Oh no.
and also had E. coli. And but he eats the same food as the other cat. They're technically from the same, like not the same litter, but the same breeder,
Yeah.
and they eat wet food. They don't eat dry food at all. Um, and drinks plenty of water. Like there was nothing building up to it. It was just all of a sudden he couldn't pee. And when
Yeah.
he did, it was like bloody and like crystals. And then she took him in and they're like, yeah, he's got all these crystals. They did a I don't know, ultrasound, I think, or something, whatever they do to check. And then they also tested and he had E. coli. And it's like, from where? For
Y-
how?
Yeah. That suggests like his immune system's not working right.
Yeah. I was just like felt really bad because like I was talking to her about Oski and because he had health issues that were not befitting his age. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, like, did they get better? And I'm like, no. That's why my
Yeah.
mom raised rabbits because they
Yeah.
didn't get better.
Yeah. Well, and he got crystals and he was on wet food, but then I ended up learning that even like canned wet food is not pH correct. And so you can still get crystals from it, which is why raw food is like better,
Mm,
is because the it corrects for the pH. And so then if you get crystals at that point, it's because the cat is stressed and not because of the
mm.
food.
So is it
So
like canned food, the pH is too high, like
it
too
depends. It
alkaline?
depends on the brand. It can go because you can get either type of crystal from it. You know,
Oh,
like Oski, I don't remember which kind of crystals he had, but when I got Brago, he ate dry food and he had the opposite kind of crystals. So it was like weird
how do
because they
you
had
like?
different.
What's the difference between the crystals besides how they?
Um, well, I think one of them you can break down with a medication, and the
Yeah.
other one doesn't break down.
Mm.
You have to
Yeah, they
remove them.
yeah, she recently started giving him like dry food, but like medicated dry food, the pH stuff. And I didn't really have any tips because I wasn't exactly sure why he was getting crystals.
Yeah,
And it was hard to say too because they have been having recently they have like porches and they're like right next to the window where the cats usually are, and those have been getting worked on. So
it
it's
could
like
be stressed.
maybe it was stress, but the E.
Yeah,
coli is weird. Like that
that is weird.
that's like that implies that he ate like contaminated food.
Yeah,
Like what?
and then his immune system couldn't handle it because normally, if they're healthy, they usually are can digest E. coli without and break it down without an issue.
Yeah, like
So,
the
yeah,
older one, no issues.
yeah.
He does not have E. coli.
I know ragdolls are prone to certain health issues. It's like breeders always have like a guarantee, 2 or 3 year guarantee if they, so I don't know if any of that stuff
Yeah,
is
the
relevant.
breeder she has definitely has that. But I think at this point she's like loves the cat. So
Yeah,
unless it was like, he's gonna die or something, she wouldn't really call on the recall.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah, she might. I mean, they got to get the crystals dealt with, and the prescription food might help with that. But once that stuff's cleared up, like, she might want to look into doing raw feeding. and just make sure it's a good brand where there's not too much like bone content. Because some
Mm,
cats are just prone to crystals, like Brago is,
yeah.
and you know, that's a stress thing. But I mean, he had them when he was 6 months old, which is really young.
Yeah.
So he just seems prone to them. But the raw food can be very very helpful with correcting the pH.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to let her know about the pH.
Yeah,
Um,
because like the Brago got all blocked up and they had to remove those crystals and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, use the prescription food." We're like, "No, we feed raw," and she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't even bother with prescription food."
yeah. Yeah.
There's a
Mhm.
human in the bed behind you.
Yeah, Itzel's in the bed. She
Yeah, I just
she
saw some legs moving around.
she's sleeping.
And
Yeah, dog is currently outside. Been having her kind of like she was inside for like 2 weeks because she has something going on with her like back right or left leg. Don't know. Vet doesn't know. When we go to the vet again with her, I think later this month, we're going again to get her second shot for vaccinations, and then she's just gonna check it again.
yeah,
Uh,
maybe she pulled something or
yeah, that's what they're thinking. So like they gave me I think Carpafen or whatever, and I was giving that to her. I didn't notice a difference in her behavior. Like honestly, besides her being weird about me touching her, uh, God, what is that called? It's like the back elbow.
yeah,
Um, she was normal, still crazy, still walking on two legs, still opening doors. So I don't know. She's just being weird about it. The only thing that makes me think that it's like something's wrong is because it's one leg she is, one leg she isn't, and
yeah.
it's new.
Well, that's how Russ
But
was when the osteosarcoma, like,
that's that's what I'm really worried about.
yeah,
Is she's a mutt, so I would hope it wouldn't be the thing. But it also
yeah,
depends what she is a mutt of. She definitely has some German Shepherd in there, and they are prone to early uh, osteocarcinoma.
yeah,
So I'm really hoping it's not that. I She has
probably,
insurance, and I think the
yeah,
insurance would cover checking that it is or not.
yeah. It's just an X-ray anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that'd be really sad. That'd be a sad way to like lose my first dog,
yeah, and like
especially like
stop, and then I'd be like stopping like me, like.
I know cursed. You've cursed me.
You know, I
It's
didn't even,
literally
I
just
think I
like
got like 3 years with them and then he got the stupid cancer.
yeah, it it was pretty close to like 3 years because
Yeah.
you and when he was like 4.
He was 6 when I got him.
Oh,
And
he's
he was 9.
6.
He didn't even make it to 10. He was 9 when,
That's what it was.
yeah.
I was like, I remember him being like 9 or 10 when he died. And I was like, you got him when he was 6, not 4.
Yeah. He was very mature for a race dog.
Yeah.
But
Poor dog.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
She probably just pulled something being a
I
spaz.
yeah, I mean she's fucking crazy. Like, all right, that's what I'm guessing. We haven't used it yet, but we got a shock collar for her. Um it's not like I don't want to use it for training really. It's really just so like when she escapes and tries to go onto the uh road that people drive 55 and up on, and then she tries to chase cars, that I could stop her.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, yeah, I know the shocking's not good, and I like was trying to avoid it because I'm like, I don't want to get my dog a shock collar, but I think it's better than letting her die.
Yeah. Or have him getting amputated or something,
Yeah,
just going through the trauma of, yeah, it's
and
like that
she's
one time I swatted you on your butt when you were 3 because you kept running in the street. And I had told you not to, and you just literally were like, I'm being a funny little shit right now by not listening to you in the worst possible way. And I just went swat. And that was it. After that, you
Wow,
started yelling at
wow,
us for going in the street.
I can't believe you're telling a story about abusing me.
Well, that's how I
Should have got
feel like uh she'll do something like heinous, like she'll run up and like she tries to play with the cats like they're dogs. So she like puts her paws and like tries to slam down on them. She tries to like grab them by the scruff. And when she tries to do that, I'm like, I grab her by the scruff, I like put her down, I'm like, you stop. And she always makes the most like sad yelp sound when I grab her scruff. It's so sad, and I feel so bad. It immediately just, like, kills me. And I'm like, "But dude, you're gonna, like,
she's
hurt
she's
the
just being
cat."
dramatic though. You're not even hurting her.
No,
You're just like,
especially with
yeah,
her skin. I mean,
yeah.
like, her skin, it's like you grab it, and it's, like, goes all the way across.
She's just being a butt. Yeah, you didn't even cry. I didn't hit you hard. It was just enough for you to be like, that was different. You've never done that before. And I was like, a car will hit you and you will die, and I'll be very sad. And you were like, oh no, you will be very sad. That was it. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just have to. You have to be
Yeah.
like
I
stern
mean,
and
it's the difference between life and death, you know?
yeah.
It's not really the time to think about, "How can I approach this the most ethically?"
Yeah.
And by the time you figured it out, your kid has been hit by a truck.
Yep, exactly. And then everybody tells you you're being irresponsible by not watching your kid.
It's like,
Yeah. Like that time when you went to the park without telling anybody. And then my friends were all telling me I was an irresponsible parent because you literally just, I mean, you hadn't even been gone. Like you were probably still on the way to the park when I realized you were gone,
yeah.
and it was like, you just went. And I was like, like, I'm sorry, but I can't be everywhere at once. Like,
Also, I mean, it was completely normal for me because that's what I did in Rio Nita. I would
yeah,
just go to the park. So
yeah,
I remember it was not bizarre to me at all. The most bizarre thing and the part that I remember is the when the people picked me up in the van to take me to the park. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to the park." And they're like, "Oh, we're all going to the park." And there's a bunch of other kids in the van. And I was like, "Oh, well, okay."
I, I,
How am I supposed to refuse? You know, I'm a child. I don't. So they took me to the park. And then at that point, I think as I was getting there with the van, you were already there or you showed up
yeah,
shortly after.
yeah. I was
And
not. I was the fact that you even got like, yeah, the whole that was so extra. Like,
but it's like just like two moms and a bunch of kids in a van. Like even
yeah,
as
they
a
were really nice, but like, it was like just the fact that you were just like, and I was like, that made the whole situation so much worse. But I mean, it turned out fine, but it was like, you know,
I mean, you
pretty,
know, had it been a single man in a car with no children, I'm pretty sure I would not have chosen to get into the car.
yeah. And by the way, this is when that happened, this is basically what he looked like. So like the poster child for stolen children.
Poster child for on the milk carton.
Yeah.
Have you seen this kid?
That was like, it was so offensive having people tell me I was a bad parent because of that. I was just like, what, you know, still winning there.
I'm, you know, it just showed that I was ready to go out on my own in the world, already prepared to be independent. I
Or
mean,
so
you
you
know,
thought.
or so I
You were
thought.
like 4.
Oh no, I was oh yeah, that was right before I gained sentience too. So I
Hmm.
don't remember too much from pre that. All I know is like fourth birthday happened and then I started gaining sentience and then like Also, as I gained sentience, I gained awful, crippling, generalized anxiety.
Yeah.
And
I
dread.
do remember when you got a little bit older, I'd let you go places and then you would just like one time you were not sure where you're at, so you called me and we navigated the directions to get you back that way. I
Yeah,
also made you read maps and stuff, so
that was like when I first got a phone, I think. We were in San Jose, and I
yeah.
remember I think like you and or Brandon picked me up on a bike.
Yeah.
I just went the wrong direction and wasn't sure. I think I literally made like one wrong turn and just kept walking.
Yep. It happens.
I
That's the best way to learn your way around, really. It's just get
yeah,
lost.
it's like I still do that. It's been a while, but even into adulthood, I still have times where I'm like, yeah, I now realize that was the wrong turn, and I've been
Yeah.
driving the wrong direction for 20 minutes.
I don't usually go that long, but I end up when I do it, I make it into a how do I get back without looking up how to get back challenge. Because I like proving to myself that I have a good sense of direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So oh, so this unrelated. Uh I read this article and I was like waiting to tell you about it because um it was very amusing. But there's this guy, he's called the Roof Man. Have you heard of him?
No.
So basically, he's from California. He was in the military, got married, had kids, blah, blah, blah. And at some point in that, he started stealing and doing robberies and very successfully doing that. And then he got caught and went to prison. And then he escaped prison at some point after several years of being incarcerated. And he found an empty Circuit City that was next to a Toys R Us and kind of made like a little like cubby that he like lived in and had like, all of his favorite like Spider-Man posters and all that shit up and um was just in hiding for like 6+ months living in an empty Circuit City. And he was like dating some lady during that time and like bringing her kids toys and stuff like that. Um yeah, and then he uh he got busted again because he just couldn't resist the temptation to do another robbery. But I just thought I just thought it's really funny that like it says here in the course of 7 months, the roofman hit over 40 restaurants, mostly McDonald's, for a total score of 100,000. And armed with a gun, power tools, he drilled through the roof, and then he would drop down from the ceiling, sometimes as far as 14 feet, and then begin the holdup. And he sometimes traveled for work and stuff, so he would like do it wherever he you know and he had a coast to coast reputation as the most courteous thief in the nation.
The most courteous thief in the nation.
Yeah,
Well, why
the
was he the most courteous thief in the nation?
he was really polite and would be apologizing. Recalled one McDonald's manager. He would say, "Would you please, ma'am, get on the floor?" Like that's and because of his military experience, like helped him be good at what he was doing. But he literally like did the thing you see on TV where people like go underneath a truck and grab the bottom. That's how he escaped prison.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. I just like I love that he escaped prison, then he just like went and lived in an empty Circuit City, which is for people that don't live on the West Coast is, an old um chain of electronic stores and there are still a few empty ones floating around even though they've been closed for a really long time.
Yeah.
Um yeah. So it's yeah, and then he was like dating this lady and she had no idea he was going to church with her. And of course there's people in the church that are now are like, well, we thought there was something hanky about that guy.
I can tell you will go through the roof.
It's just like I like that there's like these people that do crime stuff that's not horrible, scary crime stuff that actually literally is like what TV shows are based on, you know?
Yeah.
And they are working on a TV show based on his story, which it mentioned at the end of this, which kind of ruined it for me. But I'm trying to remember who they said was going to be playing him.
Oof, that's funny.
Yeah. Um.
I'll probably never watch it.
Yeah. Where is that part of the thing? It was some well-known. Oh, he set a dentist office on fire to try to create a distraction when he was after he was getting caught again the second time. Oh, Channing Tatum,
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, Channing Tatum. That's
which is why I was like, whoa,
yeah, I mean,
boring,
yeah.
generic man. I can't tell the difference between him and like a bunch of other actors. They're all kind of the same.
I mean, they're all, the same archetype, so
Yeah,
you don't care, you don't notice.
yeah, definitely. There's this comedian that Facebook has decided I need to see, and I hate him. Like he looks,
Ooh.
his jokes are,
Who is it?
I don't know his name, but his jokes are like, he looks like a stereotypical, like preppy, popular guy from like high school, and his jokes are literally the preppy, popular guy who objectifies women and picks on everybody else to get, to make himself feel better about himself type jokes. And but people are like, "Oh, he's so great," and his humor is so mean. It's not like I don't like it. I was like, "Nope, you're not funny."
Um, Man, that does not narrow it down at all. That's like half of the white comedians. I'm assuming he's white, right?
Yeah,
Uh, I John Mulaney.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'd have to look at a picture
probably
of
not.
him. He's like he looks like he's maybe your age.
God, that doesn't fucking.
But
Does he have facial hair or no?
no,
Mm.
he looks like he had a long relationship with braces. Um, there was another guy I saw, Gabriel Rutledge. He is really funny. He's like riffs on what's happening around him really well. And there's somebody in the audience wore a bukkake shirt, and he just like that, like just
Oh yeah,
fell
I've seen this
apart.
guy before.
Yeah, he was pretty funny. Like, because somebody was like, "What is a bukkake?" And he's like, "I don't want to tell you that."
Now
Yeah,
I
I don't
really
know.
want to figure out who it was.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I figure it out because it's Facebook. Will keep showing them to me anyway. But
Hmm.
like, I hate like if I watch anything, Facebook's like, I'm going to show you only that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's too much. It's like I dated that guy when I was 14. I don't know. That like intensity of like, oh, you like this one thing. And
Yeah. It's like now that is all you will ever see.
yeah, it's too much.
There
See, now it's
were,
not showing me, it's showing me people eating, which I also don't like.
dude, it's showing you everything you don't like.
I know. I'm like, I mean, I guess I admit I don't really like very much content, but I like cat stuff. So why doesn't it show me that? That's the easiest thing on the internet to show me.
True.
Oh,
Uh,
there was another thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. There's this law that was put in place that it's more of this like fear of the other bullshit, but basically it's a 2019 law intended to strip US telecom networks of Chinese made equipment.
how
And
would that
so
work?
Yeah, so they're basically like looking at there's like a whole bunch of states and rural areas that could completely lose their cell service because of this law. And the law does have like a reimbursement clause in it as part of the rip and replace
Oh,
program. But the funding hasn't really been showing up. Plus, the funding's only applicable to companies that have uh, a certain amount of costs or something. So it's like,
so only
but
big companies.
yeah, and it's nuts. Like I this whole like anti-China thing, it's stupid. Like if you want the telecom companies to use, you know, equipment made in the US or whatever, then fucking make equipment that's one reliable and affordable here. And they don't. There's a reason why they buy the stuff that they do. And I don't know. I'm so like it's like the whole thing with like the TikTok ban stuff and it just the whole
I
nationalism, fear of
I
the
think there's
other.
definitely a a overreaction in terms of fear of them getting our data. I'm like, they'll get it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're trying to get rid of TikTok and they don't want Chinese made products because of, you know, either they don't match regulations or they're collecting our data. And I'm like, it's all going to collect our data regardless.
Yeah.
It's a
And
little too late for that.
yeah, I mean, it's like, what is Meta doing? You know, it's like they're
Exactly.
all already doing it, and it's like somehow it's more okay if it's our companies doing it versus theirs. To me, it just seems like a control thing. They want the money, they want control of it.
They're just
It's not.
changing the pipeline where it's like, our companies get it, and then instead of the Chinese companies getting it directly, they have to buy it from our companies.
Mhm.
I mean, we're still getting fucked either way.
Yeah, it's really not about us. It's just about, and it's so stupid. I'm like, I don't care if TikTok gets banned at this point because they don't fucking care about the users, so fuck them. But like at the same time, I don't the whole like law around that they're trying to basically control them and be like, he needs to sell to one of our buddies. And yeah, that's
Yep.
bullshit too. All of
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
I mean, it's just yeah. Yeah.
It's a mess. There's
Yeah. I mean, and
uh,
there's the excuse where they're like, well, China's exploiting their employees, so how do we compete with their prices when they can put a price out lower than anything we put out and still make a profit? And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not even lowering your prices. You're increasing your prices when you're already making a huge profit.
yeah,
Like you haven't even tried yet.
yeah. No,
And
they
then we're just in Monopolyville at this point. You get all these companies, especially entertainment companies, where they just left and right are making every mistake in the game, and it doesn't matter because they there are no competitors.
yeah.
So
There's no consequences, and everybody that they're all getting paid. It
yeah,
doesn't. There's like it does literally doesn't matter what the impact is on the actual users or the consumers or whatever layer it is that
yeah.
we fit in. It's who's getting paid at the top that at this point.
And the
And
majority of people just don't care. So even if a large percentage of us were to like not buy something, there's still so many people buying it that even if they make less of a profit, they're still going to be making a profit. And then they
yeah,
just turn around and fire everyone. And then all those people that got fired have to go and just work for probably the same company with a different name.
yeah,
That's like the biggest one. It's like, yeah, so not only are we technically the same company, we're not we're separated by two layers. So I'm owned by this company, they're owned by this company, but both of the companies that own us are owned by the same company.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you go to the store, pretty much everything in there, if you look at the top, is owned by the same like handful of companies. And we're just being told that we're having access to different brands, and some of the stuff that used to be family owned has been bought up, but they kept it so people still think that it's still, but it's actually Nabisco or whatever, which is Nabisco is whatever, right? Like
Yeah. I mean, it's
it's
literally like
crazy.
you can't avoid it. There's like two companies that own everything that are in bed with each other. So even though they're two companies, they might as well be the same company.
Yeah.
Like competition is completely fake. It's all arbitrarily inflated.
Yep, because people just want more money.
And then
And
our government doesn't protect us.
yep. And they're just feeding us poison anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. That's like
Well, you have the choice not to buy it, don't you? You know, you could
at,
you could you
yeah, at
could
this
buy it.
point, even if you grow your own food, it's gonna have plastic in it because of,
Uh, yeah, I
so
can't
there's
even avoid it.
literally we can't,
Well, it's like my siblings and Ariel are constantly worried about plastic in their water and food, and they put all our restrictions on our life because they don't want to consume things that might have plastic in them. They don't want to use the dishwasher, and they don't want to. Um, they only use the RO water, and so then it's like, oh, there's never RO water for me. I need to drink water. I now have to drink water bottles because the water that's supposed to be for drinking is getting used by them for everything else.
yeah.
Literally, it's like washing dishes, washing their face. And it's this tiny little spigot. It's made for drinking water, not for washing dishes.
Yeah, apparently they don't know that we breathe it in with every
I
breath, and
I've
that,
mentioned it. I've
yeah.
mentioned it. I've showed
And
them. I've tried showing them the studies. They just don't fucking. They're like, well, we have to reduce our intake in ways we can, and it's like,
yeah.
okay,
No,
fuckers, we're going
literally,
to
you want to
Disneyland for a
reduce
week.
intake, we need to reduce our usage. And like people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah, and
Like
literally, they're at Disneyland right now for like a week. I'm like, you're
it's
sure as
plastic
fuck.
world.
Yeah, you're not reducing your intake there. Like, shut the fuck up. Why are you making it an issue for everyone else? You're
Yeah,
literally just doing things that you want to do for your convenience and then making a reason up for why everyone else should be doing it too. But you don't actually make it feasible for anyone but yourself to do it.
right. Yeah, it's like I worry about plastic stuff, so I do try to like I prefer, but I've been doing this for years where I like my kitchen utensils, I use like wood and stuff like that. But I use a plastic water bottle. I just don't put hot water in it, which helps some. And
There's just there's nothing you
it's
can do
just,
about it.
yeah,
I mean, it's it's in our rainwater.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. It is going to be sad, scary, interesting to see what those ramifications are, you know, in the next decade or two, because I think we're really going to be seeing that. And of course, unfortunately, the medical industry is really bad acknowledging things that we don't have proof for. So as these illnesses are taking shape, if they can't see it in a test, they're going to be like, that's not real. You're imagining it.
Yep. Oh, that's just a classic case of female hysteria. Here,
It's
take some Prilosec.
like all the people that are sick from mold exposure, but mold exposure doesn't make you sick because there are no studies on it. It's not that there are studies disproving it, it's that there's no studies looking into it.
Yeah,
Like
and it's
they've,
the I mean, it's literally so fucking bizarre how the medical field, which you would think would be basically the same as the science field, might as well be science deniers. They're
yeah,
running
for
around
real.
going,
Oh, so you don't have like 100 peer-reviewed articles that prove that it's real? That means it's not. No
Yeah.
evidence means it's been disproven.
Yep.
I mean,
And
it's
like,
literally
and patient experience literally does not, is not part of the data, even though it literally should be. And it's,
yeah.
you know, it's really easy to take like, you like when I was learning about hyperkinetic gallbladders and there's like papers on it, but there's not a lot because they haven't really put a lot of work into looking into it. So really what they've looked at is, does removing the gallbladder help the symptoms? And the results say in about 80% of the cases, yes. But if you go and you actually look at patient experiences, people that had hyperkinetic gallbladder and what their symptoms were before and after getting their gallbladder removed, it's like there's so much information there that they could be putting together, and they don't have to say this is 100%, but they could say that, based on patient experience, these are blah, blah, blah. But it's like they don't even, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what people feel or experience. It's a genetic thing.
It doesn't matter, that's just subjective. You only care about objective facts.
Yeah.
And your health should not be impacted by your mental state.
Everybody, sorry for the interruption. We ran long, so I broke it up. You'll get part two next week. I just kind of feel like keeping things close to an hour, a little bit before, a little bit after is okay. But when it starts to run to like 2 hours, I just kind of feel like breaking it up. Um, and it's a little bit of a cheat for me when I'm not feeling well because it makes the content go a little bit further. Um, so yeah, but I'm also all ears, eyes. If you have feedback and the breaks are really annoying, or if you like them, you could let me know. Um, and I've mentioned before that I'm open for questions and topic suggestions. Like if you want to hear my thoughts on something, um, you can message me, or you could even mail me an anonymous postcard with a question on it. uh, yeah. And one other thing, um, you can probably hear kids screaming in the background. There's kids playing the pool, and they do this every day for a couple hours. Um, the other thing is that I have been thinking about changing the podcast name. I was never really happy with it. I wanted to do On the Nose, but there was already a podcast named that. So I went to On Lead Nose, LE being my initials. It was kind of punny, but it never felt right. And it kind of relies on just sort of the clown identity and stuff. Um and especially after like a year of like making this content, it really just doesn't feel right to me. And I know it's like it might be a pain in the butt to change the name, but I think I still I want to do it. I'm just trying to come up with some ideas. So don't be surprised if there is a change at some point, but I will also like notify people. But if you have suggestions as well, like so far, all the ideas that I've had have been taken. And it's really hard for me to come up with names. So I'll think about it for a while. I start getting stressed out because I can't think of anything that feels right. And then I put it off for a couple of days. Um, so the idea that I had that I was really excited about, but of course it's taken, was I just forgot it. Chatterbox Central was the that one. So, if you have an idea of like wordplay that's like with that vibe, um, I would, love to hear it and would totally give you mad props and credit. So you get, I don't acknowledgement from however many people listen to the episode or whatever. Um, and I'd put it on my website as well. I don't, I don't really feel like I'm offering anything. But um, self-deprecation aside, yeah. So I hope you guys have a good week. And Yeah. Thanks again for listening. Oh, and I forgot to say that I have been streaming on Twitch while I'm playing video games. So if you enjoy playing or watching people play video games or just want to come say hi, definitely subscribe to my Twitch and do that. You know, I don't do it a lot and I'm not super funny or anything, but it's still entertaining. And it's always really nice to get to say hi to people.